Good morning, all you Facebook and YouTube fans out there. We're coming up on 10 o'clock in the morning here in beautiful Tucson, Arizona. Where again today it's going to be probably around 90 degrees. So I guess we should just be thankful that it's not over 100. So tonight I'm going to try something a little bit different, something I usually don't cook too often, but it came across the internet, I believe it was yesterday, and I thought, that sounds good, I think I'll have that for dinner. So I'm starting it now, this early in the morning, because it requires beans. So I'm going to be making for dinner tonight. It's not a new thing, it's not a new recipe by any means, but I'm going to make red beans and rice, a very common dish in the South, especially in Louisiana, New Orleans, around in that area. So let me show you the ingredients. Alrighty, so of course you're going to need beans. So I'm going to cook up some red kidney beans, because after all the recipe is red beans and rice. We're going to use some garlic, some celery, some onion, some green pepper, and then the spices that I'm going to use. I've got some crushed red pepper, some parsley flakes, some Creole seasoning, and you can use any Creole seasoning you like, garlic powder, salt, paprika. I'm going to also add to the beans a can of diced tomatoes, and then I have my sausage, some beef smoked sausage that I'm going to cut up and fry up in a pan and add to the mix. And then later on, as we get closer to dinner time, we'll cook the rice and maybe cook some cornbread to go with the red beans and rice with some cornbread. That should be good. So I've got a pot of water on the stove coming up to a boil, and we're going to add the beans once it starts boiling. Of course, I will include the recipe down below. This water is boiling, so I'm going to go ahead and add my beans. Now these beans, any of you that cook at all, you know that these are hard as rocks. Most dried beans are. So it's going to take them quite a while to cook. So I just used, each package is 12 ounces. So that's 24 ounces of beans. I'm not going to salt them at this time. I'm not going to salt them until we get ready to start bringing everything together. So for now, I'm just going to cook them. Once they come back up to a boil, I'm going to put a cover on them, and I'm going to reduce the heat down to probably 2 or 3 and just let them simmer until they're done. I don't know about you, but I grew up with that generation of kids who had to, we listened quite often to our parents and our grandparents talk about, oh, one night for dinner we had beans and potatoes, and the next night we had potatoes and beans. Kind of a running joke about the Depression era and how things were pretty rough. So a lot of people lived on beans and potatoes and rice and whatever they could get their hands on. I can remember my father telling stories that when my grandmother and grandfather, when my father was a child, back in those early years, that on the nights that they would have hot dogs, that my grandmother would slice a hot dog 2 or sometimes 4 ways to make the meat last. So everybody got a piece of the hot dog on a bun, and those must have been some really hard days to get through. Alrighty, so these have come to a boil. And like I said, I'm just going to cover them. Whoop. I'm just going to cover them. Turn them down. I'm going to start at 2. I'm going to start at 2 and see where we need to go with that. So, alrighty, we'll see you when these are done, and we'll get ready to add the other ingredients. I meant to say that while these beans are cooking, it may take them 2 or 3 hours to cook. You constantly want to monitor the water level, because you don't want the water level to drop and the beans start burning on the bottom. So you may have to add some more water, and that's perfectly fine. Just watch your water level while these are cooking. And while we're waiting on these beans to cook, I found another recipe as well. Sounds interesting to me. Well, we're going to take these jalapenos and we're going to candy them. So basically, I found a recipe. It's called candied jalapenos, or cowboy candy. So I'm going to get busy slicing these up into slices, and then I'll be back and I'll show you how we're going to prepare these. All right, see you in a bit. Okay, everyone. So here's my jalapeno peppers, all sliced up, and I did wear a pair of gloves to do that, so that later on, when my eye itches and I go to rub it, I don't get jalapeno pepper in my eye. In a saucepan here, I have got 2/3 cups of apple cider vinegar, 2 cups of sugar, a 1/4 teaspoon of turmeric, a 1/4 teaspoon of celery seed, 1 teaspoon of granulated garlic, and a 1/3 teaspoon of ground cayenne pepper. So we are going to put this on. We're going to put this on the stove, and we are going to bring it to a boil, and then we're going to reduce the heat and let it simmer for about 5 minutes. So we'll go ahead and get that process started. Can't wait to try these, y'all. Never had candied jalapenos before, but it sounds pretty good to me. And this almost smells like a salad dressing. Kind of has the consistency of a emulsified salad dressing. So, alright, let's see. I've got my jars in the dishwasher getting sterilized. Don't know what happened there. Couldn't find the remote, then the video stopped. So I've got my jars in the dishwasher running through a sterilizing cycle. And beans are cooking for dinner tonight. They are looking pretty good. Water level is staying good on them. Alexa, how much time is left?
You have 1 hour and 19 minutes left on your kidney bean timer.
So we've got about an hour and 20 minutes left on the beans, and then we'll taste them and see if they're done. All right, when this comes up to a boil and we're done simmering it for 5 minutes, I'll come back and let you see the next steps. While we're waiting for this to come up to a boil, just wanted to share with all you the beans that I put on first thing this morning. They started to boil, and I looked in the pot and just something didn't, I don't know, they just didn't look right to me. Sometimes you get a bag of beans and you have no idea how long that they have been around. All right, we're going to turn this down to a simmer. And so if there's one thing I've learned as a chef, as a cook, when in doubt, throw it out. That's a good principle. I use that all the time. If it just doesn't look right, throw it out. So that's what I did. I threw those out, and I ran up to the local Kroger and bought some new beans. Excuse me. I didn't buy those at Kroger. I went up to Sprouts, the farmer's market, and bought some new beans there, and went ahead and bought everything fresh. Got a fresh green pepper and some fresh celery. So, and then I ran to Kroger's and I got some soda and some milk. All right, so we're going to simmer this for 5 minutes. Alexa, set a brine timer for 5 minutes.
Brine timer, 5 minutes, starting now.
So yeah, when in doubt, throw it out. Get rid of it. So I put on new beans and they're looking fine. So I will be back when this is done simmering. Alright, so that's simmered for 5 minutes. I put it on really low, and I'm just waiting on the jars to finish sterilizing. So once those are done, we'll finish the process. Alrighty guys, so the jars are done. They're in the dry cycle. So I brought this back up to the simmer, and I'm going to go ahead and add the jalapenos into the sauce here. And we're just going to stir those around. I believe it says let them simmer for 4 minutes. Alexa, start a jalapeno timer for 4 minutes.
Jalapenos timer, 4 minutes, starting now.
Alrighty, so jalapenos are ready. In just a few seconds, we're going to take them off the stove.
Your jalapenos timer is done.
Alexa, stop. Okay. They smell wonderful. Alrighty, so I'm going to get a ladle, a slotted spoon, excuse me, and we're going to put these in the jars up to leave a 1/4 inch headspace. That looks good. I don't think we really got enough to do a third one. So I'm going to try to get these all in one jar, in 2 jars. There we go. Wipe down the jars. Now I'm going to return. I am going to return the juice, the syrup, to the stove, and we are going to bring it to a full rolling boil, and we're going to boil it hard for 6 minutes. Shouldn't take long to bring it back up to a boil. I'll be back when that's done boiling. So basically what we're doing by boiling that hard for 6 minutes is we're breaking down that sugar into even a sweeter glucose or fructose by cooking it, and it'll also thicken up this syrup so that it's more of a, I guess, more of a syrupy type feel to it to put over the jalapenos. So, Alexa, how much time is left?
You have 2 timers. Syrup with about 3 minutes and 50 seconds left, and kidney bean with about 31 minutes left.
All right, I'll be back in about 3 minutes. All right, so the syrup is done. Take that off the stove. So I was right, as I was watching it, I could tell that the sugars were breaking down into a, so we basically boiled a lot of the water out of that apple cider vinegar, and we converted the sugars into a more complex syrupy texture. Alright, so I'm going to ladle this into the jars. Just going to go ahead and pour this one. Looks looks like I ended up with less syrup than the other recipes. But we're going to go ahead and seal it anyway. And get my lids. I tell you what, just going to add a little water to these. To keep the peppers covered. And now what I'm going to do is just turn these upside down. I'm going to shake them a little bit and mix that water in. And I'm just going to turn them upside down for about 15 minutes. And then I'll turn them upright and they should seal. Not a condoned way of canning, but someone else in a video did this, and I'm going to give it a try. Worst case scenario, they won't seal, so then I'll have to water bath them, and then they should seal. So, alright, I'll be back when we get ready to finish the beans. I don't know if that recorded you all. So in case it didn't, what I did, the beans were ready. So I went ahead and added a 28-ounce can of diced tomatoes with the juice. And went ahead and put in all my vegetables, the green pepper, the onion, the celery, and some chopped up garlic.
Your kidney bean timer is done.
Alexa, stop. So we're going to let this cook down a bit. And Alexa, stop.
Your kidney bean timer is done.
There we go. Alright, so we're going to let this cook down a bit, and then we'll add the seasonings toward the end. And I've still got to cook up the sausage that's going to go in it. So we'll be back in a bit. Thought I'd take a moment and show you the beans here. There's the beans with all the veggies. Whoops. Like I said, the veggies will cook down some. I'm going to bring them back up to a boil and cook them a while. So, alright, we'll be back. Alright, y'all, I'm getting ready to sear the sausage here. Get it in the pan so we can fry it a bit. Ouch. The sausage is, you know, when you get it from the store, it's already cooked. So all we're doing is just searing it, putting a little brown on it. So I'm searing them in a little bit of olive oil, and I'm just going to dump the whole thing into the pot when we're done, because I'm sure that olive oil will taste good in the beans as well. And we got a mess going. What can I say? We're cooking. When we cook, there's always something to clean. But here we go, cleaning as we go. Alrighty. Just a little longer on those. I wish you could all smell this. It smells so wonderful. Alrighty. I'm going to go ahead and add this to it. There we go. Alright, so now we've got the sausage in with the beans. And I'm going to go ahead and add the spices. I've already measured them out. The recipe will be included below. But I'm basically adding 2 tablespoons of paprika, a half a teaspoon of red pepper flakes, 2 teaspoons of garlic powder, in addition to the garlic I already put in there, 2 tablespoons of Creole seasoning, and 1 tablespoon of parsley. And now I'm going to add just a dash of salt. You don't want to put more than a dash because that Creole seasoning already has salt in it. And you don't want to end up with real salty beans. The Creole seasoning has salt, and so does the sausage. There's that. There's that. Whoop, there's a piece that didn't get included. Woohoo! Alright, let's show you. Alright, so here it is. Got a wonderful red beans with sausage and veggies. So we're just going to let that simmer until it's time to eat. And let all of those flavors marry together. Okay folks, I'm going to go ahead and start trying this Lacy Cornbread. This is the first time that I've made it. So I'm going to get me a spoon. So what I've got in my bowl here is I took some yellow cornmeal, put it in a food processor, and processed it for quite a while so that I end up with a very extra fine cornmeal. So we're going to add some water to it according to the directions. We're going to add water to it. I don't know how much cornmeal I put in there, but directions say cold water from the sink, and just add a little bit and stir. It's going to start out very crumbly, looking for is a very, very thin mixture. A little thinner. Oh, I wanted to add a little bit of salt to it. Okay. I think we might need to go just a little thinner. That looks pretty good. We're going to wait for that oil to come up to heat before we try to fry these. Go ahead and get a plate out and line it with paper towels. Put that over here by the stove. Get a chopstick for seeing if the oil's ready. I did this on a while back on a video. If you take a chopstick, when you're heating up oil, you stick the bamboo chopstick into the oil, and if it bubbles around the stick, you know your oil's hot and ready. So mine is not quite there yet. So like I said, never done this before. I'll have to see what happens. According to the person that did it in the video, they said your first piece of cornbread will be your test. If it spreads out too much, there's too much water. If it stays all together in one clump, then it's too much cornmeal. So hopefully I've got it just right. But we shall see. Alrighty. So in my pan, in my cast iron skillet over there, I've got maybe about a ½ inch of canola oil. The lady in the video that showed me this, she used vegetable oil, but canola oil is what I have on hand, so I'm using that. So it's almost up to temp here. Alright, so we're ready to go. I'm going to give this a try. That one's staying all together, so we need more water. Have to just go ahead and let it finish now. Alright, so I went ahead and threw that one away. And we're going to try it again. See what we get this time. That looks better. See how that one's spread out a little bit and is frying up? I'm just going to wait for it to get done. And we'll see what we've got when it's done. Hers didn't stick at all, so I don't know what to think. Go ahead and flip it over. Rice is almost done. We've got about 11 minutes. I'm going to turn mine up just a little bit. All right, let's try one more. You see how it came out with kind of lacy on the edges? That's what we're looking for. Oh. So I'm really looking forward to this supper tonight. Since I've been working on it basically all day long. I don't know how she got hers to not stick. I was thinking maybe because the oil was not hot enough, that it wasn't getting the good seal on the bottom when it first goes in the pan. But I don't know, maybe it's one of those things you get better at as you do it. Seems to be still a little thick in the center. Try a little more water. Heard a difference with that one, didn't you? Looks like that one's just going to go to pieces. So that one wasn't a good one. Let me add just a little more cornmeal here. Because that one kind of went everywhere. Stop. We'll work with it. We'll eventually get the knack of it. I guess I could read the comments on the video and see if anybody else had a problem with it sticking. Okay, I've got to clean this off. All right, let's try that. There we go. Go ahead and get rid of this. Stop it. Rice timer's down to 2 minutes. I'll tell you what, I'll come back when I'm done frying these. Alright, we are all done. See how they fried up with the lacy edges, and they're going to be very, very crunchy. So we're going to have those. I'm going to go ahead and get me a bowl out and a plate. And I'm going to come over here and get me some rice. Alrighty. And we're going to get us some beans. The lovely veggies and sausage in it. And I tell you what, I'm going to get me some of these jalapenos. Give them a try. All right. Whoops, put those on the side. And I'm going to get a couple pieces of this cornbread. And that's it, folks. Lacy cornbread, red beans and rice, some candied jalapenos. We are going to feast tonight. So, that's it. I'm done cooking for the day. So you all have a good evening. Bon appetit. Remember, life is beautiful. It really, really is. And we'll see you in the next video. Alrighty. Bye-bye.